To be outraged, of course, because this is what happens within our system. So I shared this video. You guys need to hear about it too.
This is LaKieth Smith, and he was given a 65-year sentence because when he was 15 years old, he was the youngest of his group of friends, and they were going into unoccupied homes during the day and stealing things like video games. Alabama police showed up to the unoccupied home while the boys were in it. When they got there, the boys ran. LaKieth Smith jumped a fence and got away. Adante Washington was the 16-year-old that officers Mark Ritter and AJ Renfro shot and killed. They shot this boy in the back as he was running away. This is Judge Sibley Reynolds, who gave LaKieth Smith the 65-year sentence for the murder the police committed. As you see here, on the same day before LaKieth Smith was sentenced to 65 years, Judge Sibley Reynolds gave Wesley Phelps a 3-year sentence because he was high on drugs, stole a car, and when the cops pulled him over, instead of pulling over, he put them on a chase, crashed into a tree. The car caught on fire and killed his girlfriend. Judge Sibley Reynolds gave him 3 years. He also gave David Carr, who killed a 3-year-old, only 15 years in 1 day. This Judge Sibley Reynolds needs to be investigated and looked into immediately. Go to freelakeith.com. They'll forward you to this link tree, and you can send the email to Free LaKieth. When you click that, it will open up your email browser, and it's going to Steve Marshall, the Attorney General, and the judges to overturn LaKieth's conviction and free LaKieth.
So that is the story about LaKieth Smith. That it really bothers me because let me just show you guys what I said. Because it is really frustrating. I said our system needs to be rebuilt. Serving 65 years for stealing video games at the age of 15 is extreme and shows how our system needs to end. You know, let me ask you something. When you were 15, did you do some dumb stuff? Go ahead, answer. A lot of us did. Of course, if you did something dumb that you know you're not supposed to do, of course you pay, the price for what you did. You pay the price for doing something wrong. You have to face the consequences. But when you go up against this capitalist system and how it treats people that look like me, every decision could be life or death. What they did to this boy, because like we always say, when it comes to black people, they always age us up. What happened to this boy was the equivalent of trying to kill a mosquito with a nuclear bomb. See what I mean? Why would you kill a mosquito with a nuclear bomb? It's an excess. The punishment does not fit the crime. Right? Truth be told, how many years does breaking and entering get? How much does theft? How much does theft get? By the way, breaking and entering is one, theft is another. But as far as theft goes, that's, you know, uh, that is a crime. That stealing, it's minor theft. It's petty thuggery at best. Grand theft is anything over $1,000, which, sorry, but the way things are priced now, I'd say grand theft will probably have to be over 4,000 or 5,000 now. The law needs to change on that. But petty theft, breaking and entering, I mean, for a juvie, gosh, I mean, if maybe maybe overnight in jail, in juvie, just to teach them a lesson. At the most, you gave a kid 65 years. A 15-year-old, by the time he gets out of prison, he'll be 80. Let me ask you. Let's go back to the video real quick. Let's go back. Because we always talk about the conflict, dogs talk about the double standards, right? And people will say, oh, well, he did a crime. He shouldn't have to do it. Look at this. Look at this, right? Wesley Phelps killed his girlfriend, got 3 years, man. 3 years. Whether it was homicide, whether it was involuntary manslaughter, whatever. Only 3 years. Another white guy, David Carr, killed a 3-year-old and got 3 years. But LaKieth broke into somebody's house and tried to steal a video game system, and he gets 65 years. Bruh, are you kidding me right now? And people want to talk about, oh, the system works? No, wait, hold up. No, it doesn't. It doesn't work. It only works for a small few people. If the system truly worked for us, we would not be talking about this right now. But it doesn't, because it's not made to work for us. It's not made for us. The system is created for a few people of some key demographics. Cis, male, hetero, white, rich. If you meet those criteria, then it's for you. I don't care if you're cis, hetero, white, but poor, it still doesn't work for you. You know that. Stop blaming shit on us. God forbid if you're cis, hetero, white, but female and poor, well, you're screwed. Forget if you're black. Forget if you're trans. Forget if you're poor. Forget if you're disabled. Hello. No. Screw you. Doesn't work. And guess what? If you're rich, you can get put on house arrest, get off scot-free. That's it. Right? That's why I look at stories like this and I say down with this system, because it does not work for anybody. And it never will. Why keep a system that doesn't work for you? And people say, oh, well, we just need to reform. Reform? Let me ask you this. Take this down. Let me ask you something about reform. If I hand you a sandwich, right? But I got a little bit of shit on my hands and I get a little bit of shit on the sandwich. You still gonna eat that sandwich? What if I just wipe it off? Or even just cut the piece that the shit was on out of it? Are you still gonna eat it? Or are you gonna have somebody else even serve you? Somebody who washes their hands, somebody who uses clean utensils in a clean kitchen, and make the sandwich for you. Or hell, just make it yourself. You can say, well, I'm not handing you a pile of shit. I'm just handing you a sandwich with a little bit of shit on it. All you got to do is wipe it off or take it off or cut that little piece off and you're good, right? Why are we doing this? Hell, to be honest with you, my analogy wasn't even that good. It wasn't. Really, to be honest with you, this system is like it's like trying to build a sloth enclosure in an aquarium. How are we to survive? We come up to the top for some air, but then that's it. And so, how are you going to build a sloth enclosure in an aquarium filled with water? You expect them to survive? We're just wading water, trying to breathe. But at a certain point, your arms get tired, your legs get tired, and you start to go under. This system is not built for us. So the only means that we have to survive is actually to smash that glass and let the water pour out so that we can actually get to dry ground and be safe. Meanwhile, you have only just a couple of tiny little fish that's just swimming around going, hey, everything's great for us. You just need to breathe deeper. Take deeper breaths. You'll be able to survive. That's what it feels like. You know what I mean? So when it comes to stories like this is what, gets me mad. Now, let me go to this article really quick. So this article says 30 years, but the other says 65. It says, LaKieth Smith. Oh, let me enlarge this just a little bit so you guys can see. Make sure. That's bigger. All right. It says LaKieth Smith was 15 when the police officer shot and killed his friend when the teens were caught burglarizing homes in Alabama. But it is Smith who will spend decades in prison for his friend's death. A judge on Tuesday sentenced Smith, now 24, to 30 years in prison, a reduction from more than 50 years he originally received, but a blow to his family and advocates who argue he should not spend decades in prison for a killing he didn't commit. The new sentencing hearing was held after a judge ruled Smith's original lawyer failed to present possible mitigating evidence about his home life and mental health. Circuit Judge Sibley Reynolds handed down the new sentence after a lengthy court hearing. Sibley gave Smith the same punishment he previously handed down, 30 years for the felony murder charge and 25 years for burglary and theft, but this time allowed the sentences to run concurrently instead of stacked on one another. What he received today was not justice, it was clearly an over sentence. That was from his attorney, Leroy Maxwell. Maxwell said the case, which had garnered national attention because of Smith's age and the attention and the sentence he received, is the poster child for the misuse of felony murder laws that allows someone to be charged for killing during commission of a felony, even if the death was unintentional. As the fatal shooting happened on February 23rd, 2015, when Millbrook police officers responded to a call of burglary in progress. A Millbrook police officer shot and killed 16-year-old Adante Washington when officers surprised the teens, local news outlets reported. A grand jury cleared the officer of the shooting, and surviving 4 teens were charged with felony murder. 3 took a plea deal. Smith went to trial. See, this is one thing I actually want to talk about as well. It says 3 took a plea deal and Smith went to trial. See, they wanted Smith to take the plea deal. They always want, people, especially people who are poor, to take the plea deal. Oops, I didn't mean that. Because the thing is that they really don't want to go to trial. They just want to, basically just like, just lock them away, take the plea, admit your guilt, and do it. The thing is that the plea deals typically are also oftentimes more excessive than what, they did. So you have some teenagers coming in, stealing some stuff out of people's houses. Most likely, not grand theft. And so even still, what the plea deal probably was probably excessive. And so it's like, okay, well, I'll just go to trial. I'm not going to admit to this plea deal. I'm not going to agree to this plea deal. I'm going to go to trial and get something, that's more commensurate with the crime that I committed. But instead, the judge decided to give him 65 years, which is ridiculous. And so this is what they do. They will try to talk you into plea deals so that you'll just accept the punishment that is a lot of times excessive already, especially if you're black. But then if you try to fight it and actually go to trial, then you have judges like this that say, nah, we're going to make it even harder for you. And the thing is that they weren't armed and dangerous, but his friend got shot and killed, but he's getting blamed for the killing because a police officer decided to shoot. He didn't kill anybody. Maxwell argued that LaKieth Smith was the least culpable of the teens because he was the youngest and there was no evidence he fired a gun. The judge heard testimony about Smith's difficult home life as well as requests from Washington's father to let Smith go free. Quote, they were kids, just kids. I don't condone them going to somebody's house and whatever. Give them time for that. But the murder of my child, no, Andre Washington said after the court. It was kids being stupid. Kids being stupid, they should be held accountable for the stupid things that they do. But if you're going to do this in excess over a child wanting to steal an Xbox 360 or a PlayStation 4, we're going to go in excess to that. Should we look into the records of all these people who have done something wrong in their health, in their life, and then punish them for excess as well? This is what upsets me. You know, just give me 1 second. Okay. Just checking on something really quick. Sorry about that. Let's see. Just one of them days that I want to be on. Okay. I'm going to share with you guys. I'm going to share with you guys the link so that you guys can also email to call for LaKieth being released, because he's been in prison since 2015. So he's already been in prison for 8 years. That is way too excessive, even for the crime that was committed. Even 8 years is too much. All right. So let me get that really quick for you guys as well. So there's a link tree here. I'll put the link in the chat really quick. And then I will also put in here. And let me share my screen really quick so you guys can see what to do. So this is Free LaKieth Smith. So there's a link tree. And then if you guys go to the second link, it says send email to Free LaKieth. You guys go there. Then what it will do, is it will, if you do it through your phone, it's actually easier. Oh, then you guys can share the, you guys can share the link, but you can also can go to the email. And if you do it on your phone, it'll ask, what email option, like for instance, Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo, different ones. And what you do is that it has a pre-written email. If you want to make different, alterations to it, you can. But then this gets sent to the state to ask to free LaKieth Smith. So, do what you can, because, people like LaKieth do not deserve this type of treatment. And it's just wrong. You know, I cannot stand the fact that this, you know, this young man, he's a young man now, you know, has been in prison for 8 years for breaking and entering and stealing electronics. Like, let me ask you something. If you were put in prison for petty theft and breaking and entering, and you were put in prison for 8 years, would you think that's excessive? I personally would look at it and go, that is way too excessive. But I don't know. Maybe, no, I'm right. It's excessive.